right, welcome back to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge, presented by Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I hope that you are all enjoying your day, and I'm just excited about my next guest. I've known him for a while. He is not only one of the top up-and-coming baseball coaches in the Chattahoochee Valley, he's also my broadcasting partner on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, as I've had the privilege of calling some high school football games with him. It's Coach Michael Long Jr. of the Carver Tigers. Coach, welcome back to the Sports Beat, and I'm just excited to have you back on the show.
Hey, Richard, thank you for having me back on, man. Anytime I can be on your show, man, it's always a blessing to me. So thank you again.
Well, Coach, let's talk about the season, year 2 under the belt, and not the way that you expected to go. There were some improvement, but once again, back-to-back years, you're on the doorstep of making the playoffs. You finished 5-17 overall, 1-9 in the region, but I saw some improvements. You had a mixture of some seniors, including you had some mixture of some young players, including Jamal Claiborne, a senior, and then Deshaun Bryan, a sophomore. And but there's one thing I do want to talk about before we get into the season, because we did have a privilege of live streaming one of your games on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. It happened to be a makeup game. Your coaching colleague from the Columbus Chattahoots, you were coaching underneath Coach Steve Smith, who is also the head baseball coach at Calvary Christian, and he had a situation where they had a rainout, and he was looking for a team to have the makeup game with. Coach, lo and behold, you said, let's do it. And so we had the Calvary-Carver matchup that wasn't on the original schedule. What was going into that decision to play Calvary Christian in the makeup game? And I know you have a good relationship with Coach Steve Smith with the Chattahoochee, so you have that relationship established already. I mean, what were some of the factors that went into scheduling that game?
So what really was the determining factor for me to really reach out to Steve when he mentioned that he had an open date on the schedule, was really trying to see where our guys were. Play against a very quality opponent. You're going to see some quality guys on the bump. You're going to see a quality lineup. You're going to see just a fundamentally sound defensive team, well-coached team. And me personally, I'm a firm believer. I don't back down to anybody. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Steve, and I think that he also has the respect for me as well. And I think that matchup is something that, some fans would be like, why would Carver want to play Calvary, knowing their history and knowing that you're still young, and it's almost like a game where you just wouldn't schedule as a coach. Well, I tell my guys we won't back down to anybody. You know what I'm saying? You want to play the best. I want to compete with the best. They want to compete with the best. So we went into that decision knowing that we was going to play a really tough team and give ourselves a chance to see where we're at right now. Just kind of give us an opportunity to look at our depth, to look at our team and say, hey, what are we able to do against a quality opponent? We're facing guys like a Bailey Thorne, who just might hear his name get called in the MLB draft. And I think we limit him to only one hit. You play against D1 caliber guys all throughout their lineup. And for a good bit of that game, it was kind of close for a good bit of that game. And honestly and truly, some coaches say, hey, we play to win. But I told the guy I had a different approach on that game than I have in some others. And it was mainly the simple fact of, what Calvary is. You know where we are right now. All right. Make a name for yourself today. All right. And when I say make a name for yourself, put yourself in a situation where you're going to play against some quality opponent, and go out there and just play your game. Have fun, play loose. And for a good bit of that game, we did. And I think what the tail end of it, that game, and you saw the end result, is their depth taking over. We're still young, very, very young. So we had to kind of try to piece things together. We was battling a lot of injuries through the season, so and that was actually right around the time we started really battling those injuries. But we still wanted to play, and when the guys were up for that game, they wanted to play Carver. They've been trying to get me to schedule Carver for the last 3 years. So it's not a matchup that you would necessarily see, but it's a matchup that we want to continue to have. You know.
Well, Coach, we were very happy that we were able to live stream that game, and we wish we could have live streamed more Carver games. I was looking at the schedule. I really wanted to live stream the games against Columbus because they're a region rival, but the rain shifted that game to us on Saturday, and we had a scheduling conflict. But I promise you, Coach, I definitely want to try to live stream more Carver baseball games next season, especially with the new reclassification. You're going to have all the teams in Columbus, minus Northside and Sumter County, all in the same region. So you're going to get to see the matchups between Spencer and Kendrick, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And you'll get to see Jordan, and that's going to be a region game. Hardaway is going to be a region game. You'll have an opportunity to play Shaw, and of course, playing Columbus. Coach, are you looking forward to next year, as with the new reclassification and Carver going down to 2A and playing all the teams in Columbus minus Northside?
I am, and when I say I'm excited about the region that we're going in, it's a region that was similar to how I came in. When I came in 3 years ago, it was all Columbus teams in our region. I think there was maybe one or two outsiders.
Yeah, LaGrange and Troup County.
Yep, LaGrange and Troup County, which are we know what LaGrange and Troup County will do. So coming in, it's really a gauntlet. If you want me to be honest with you, there's a lot of quality opponents that you're going to face in your region. It's geared up to be an exciting region. We got to think about it. You got a Hardaway team who's made the playoffs. You got a Shaw team who's made the playoffs the last 2 years and has hosted playoff games with a lot of returners coming back. You got Columbus. We all know the history of Columbus. You got us. You got Jordan High School. There's a lot of quality. There's a lot of big things building up in a lot of these programs that you haven't heard of in a while. I mean, you got to think about it. Hardaway, I think the last 2 years has made the playoffs. Jordan has made the playoffs the last 2 years. Shaw, your Columbus, and then you got to think about it. We've been close the last 2 years. We've been literally a game away from going to the playoffs back-to-back years, with a lot of guys coming back. So it's going to be an exciting region to actually watch and see it unfold and see who's going to be crowned region champion. Because if you want to be honest with you, I think it is going to come down to those last few weeks of the region, depending on what the matchups you see of who's going to win it, who's going to win it all. And there's going to be a lot of teams fighting for those four playoff spots come next year.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about your team. I mean, you've had some key players. Your leading batting average leader was the sophomore Deshaun Bryant. Christian Elby, I mean, we heard his name, called his name on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Keyshawn Davis is a very good pitcher. But let's talk about Ace Thomas, because that was a really cool moment in that game against Calvary Christian where he went toe-to-toe with Bailey Thorne and he struck him out. I mean, that is just a young pitcher, only a freshman, with no fear going up against one of the top hitters in the state.
I was very proud of Ace for how he handled that situation. I did not tell him who he was about to face. I wanted him to just embrace the moment and just take charge. But after we struck out Bailey on a very competitive count, might I add, I told him, I said, hey, I want you to understand you were just in a big moment. As a freshman, a lot of freshmen your age would probably fold under pressure if told, who they was possibly facing in that moment. You might overthink some things, but I didn't want to do that with him because Ace is Ace. I mean, he's a pure athlete. I mean, he came from football straight to basketball, both made it to the Final Four, and he helped in both areas. And then he comes on the baseball field, and I put him on the field, and he embraces the moment and just enjoys being out there. I had a chance to get Bailey twice. honestly. That one account, and I say it's on me. Um, I called a fastball up, and me trying to get ahead of myself, thinking we can get him to chase it. He left it in his wheelhouse, and he was able to hit the ball right back up the middle. But um, that was another 2-strike count, and Bailey had to fight to get a hit in that situation to help his team, and he did a great job. I don't think it was a terrible pitch. I just think with a guy like Bailey and what he can do, he can basically master any pitch that's thrown to him. So, um, I mean, I'm still proud of Ace because he battled with Bailey. Only I think he only faced him twice, and he only limited him to one hit and struck him out. So, for a young guy with a lot of upside, a lot of potential, to see him come up big in that moment, is big for the future of the program as well.
And coach, I'm looking down at your stats. I mean, you do have a lot of guys with a good batting average. You typically play a little small ball. I mean, Christian Elby with 13 stolen bases, Justin Thomas 11, Ace Thomas has got 8 stolen bases. Is that the strategy going into games, knowing that you can win? Trying to manufacture runs, playing small ball, just bunting them over, getting them to steal, because I know that everybody wants to hit the long ball, and sometimes when you're trying to win a baseball game, the best way to go about it is to manufacture runs and just to get your hitters patient. I mean, really, it's all about that on base percentage. If they can draw a walk and if they can steal, you could put runs across the plate. Is that the strategy going into games, coach, or does it differ depending on which team you play?
Well, we preach aggression, and aggression can be displayed in several different ways throughout baseball. Small ball aggression is being able to consistently get butts down, move runners over. We try that a lot because we try to utilize our speed in every phase in any way we can. Actually, it's not necessarily dependent on if we're squaring the ball up and we're just driving balls in the gap. We still focus a little bit on small ball when it's open, but we don't try to do too much and overwork it because our offense is already working productively. But when we play in certain matchups and we expect teams to kind of play back because they're kind of looking at seeing how we're swinging the bat at that time, we may try to get a couple bunts down. But for the most part, I mean, we preach aggression, and if that's a part of our philosophy for the week of just trying to just play a little bit more small ball and just move guys over and manufacture runs and work a count or anything of the sort, that's just what we do. I played that way. If it was open, my coaches would trust me to, if I see it, to lay a bunt down, I can lay it down. But they always trust me to hit away and just try to move the runner over or manufacture a run depending on the situation. And that's what we preach. My hitting coach, Coach Dane Bullock, has done a great job these last 2 years with me of just picking the brains of our players and kind of seeing what they're seeing at the plate and what we need to probably adjust during practice based off of what they're seeing in games. He's done a phenomenal job of just being able to dissect different swings, dissect different plate approaches, counts, and things like that. So he's been a big part of our just brain offensively of just trying to see what we should do in that given week or in that given matchup. I mean, I trust him. I told him, what's my philosophy as far as what I would like to see, what I, you know, don't want to see from an offense, and he kind of just takes that and just puts his spin to it, and we just roll with it. We're always, talking to each other in game and just kind of figuring out, those little adjustments in between or in between innings that we can possibly make to be more successful. So we've done a great job with that. Like I said, to kind of really answer the question and sum it up, it is a part of our process, but it can vary at times. It definitely can.
Well, Coach, I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about Carver baseball in general, as far as what type of camps do you got going on, and what are some of the ways that you can get just your average student that might have played baseball that happens to go to Carver, who might be an athlete, to buy into your program and to put on that Carver uniform and represent the Carver Tigers? Because quite frankly, coach, we know that the other sports programs have had success. You mentioned the football and basketball team reaching the Final Four. But what is it going to take to try to get Carver baseball to get on that same level as far as just buying into your program and just having that pride of being a Carver Tiger?
Well, I mean, you kind of said it. It's the buy-in. When I mean the buy-in, not just buy-in because of individual success, but buy-in because of team and program success. All the guys that you've mentioned so far, a Jamal, a Deshaun, a Christian, or a Keyshawn, has bought in for the team. And there's several others. Jacoby Duhart, one of our better pitchers in this past season, another young guy, underclassman. These guys are buying in to the process, and that's what we preach. Trust the process. You got to think about it. When you can trust the process, you can go get a scholarship offer. You trust the process, you can win some games. You trust the process, you can have a high batting average. You can get all that individual stuff when you trust the process for the overall betterment of the team. And that's what we preach. And that's what I preach in the school. Like I have kids, coming to me all the time saying, "Hey, coach, I might play this year." Well, I ask them the first thing after they say that is, "Are you going to buy in?" And they be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy in. I'm gonna buy into to what you're saying." And I said, "No, are you gonna buy into the team? Because you won't get individual success in this game without the overall team success. Because my thing is this: if we're buying in as a team and we're doing everything as one unit, you're gonna get all those individual accolades that you want because you're pitching in, you're buying into what we're trying to do as a program, and that's why we've had success. That's why we're able to, um, in the next coming days, we're going to have a signing for Jamal because he's going to go play college baseball, something that he didn't see himself doing when I first got to Carver.
There
And
you
now,
go.
now he is,
Yeah, that's
um,
great.
and that's why we have the number two um, guy in Deshaun Bryan in batting average in the region, and he's also number three in all of class of 3A. And we know there's some heavy hitters in 3A on the baseball side, and he's number three in batting average. And just found out today in all of Georgia High School Athletic Association public schools, he's number 24. So he's in the top 25 in all of GHSA baseball. And we didn't have baseball 3 years ago. That's buying into the process. That's buying into the overall process of what we're trying to do. And I ain't even gonna say what we're trying to do, what we're doing. Because over the last 3 years, we have seen guys just get accolades after accolades that a lot of people probably don't even realize. We're doing a lot of great things at Carver. And that buy-in is the biggest component. We've had a tough year. I'll be the first to tell you this has probably been the toughest year at Carver for not only myself but for my players. We battled injuries. We battled personnel changes, having to get rid of guys early on before the season even started. And I mean, we battled a lot. We was battle tested a lot this past season, and for us to still be one game away or one series away from going to the playoffs, I mean, what more can I ask for from guys who endured a lot? And I'm gonna tell you, Deshaun Bryant took almost a whole month off due to an injury and still batted over 400. That goes to
It's
show
incredible.
his buy-in. That goes to show that regardless of regardless of what situation was in front of him, he still had a goal. He still had a plan. So when he got healthy enough to play, it was just like he didn't miss anything. It was just like clockwork. It was just like, I'm telling you, it was like a night and day thing. I was surprised of how well he responded from his injury. Keyshawn Davis, Another guy, one of our key guys, went down. Still, he still had a great season and helped our team. He led our team in strikeouts on the bump. I think he had almost 40 something strikeouts on the mound, and he battled injuries. Christian Ellaby, another guy, he batted well over 300, and he battled injuries. These guys are buying in. These guys are taking situations that are put in front of them, and they're coming out better. They're gaining something from something, something that a lot of people will say is a loss when they get hurt. They're still in their mind, they're thinking about, okay, hey, when I get healthy, what am I going to do to help the team? And they're good, and they did that, and I'm proud of them for that. So I mean, Carver baseball is in a great spot, in a great spot, going forward, and we're just gonna keep going. Just gonna keep going, Richard. I mean, the biggest thing that I set out when I first got there was to, one, surround ourselves with a great staff that's gonna love our kids, that's gonna work hard for our kids, that's gonna do everything they can for our kids, and we've done that. The second thing is just really just getting in there and getting kids that want to play baseball. You mentioned Justin Thomas. How many stolen bases did he have? Did he have?
He had 11.
He had 11 stolen bases. That was his first year ever really playing varsity baseball. And
That's incredible.
he had 11 stolen bases. He started every single game for me. This is only his third year ever playing baseball. And he started every single game. He was able to help us in areas. He made some phenomenal plays in the outfield that you would not see a 3-year guy who, really, I would say a first-year guy who, when it comes to playing time, would make. You wouldn't expect him to make those plays. But that goes to show his buy-in, his intention in the game. He's put a lot of outside work minus practice time. I mean, regardless of practice time, he would leave practice and go work on his own. He would go on the weekend if we were off or anything like that. He would go work on his own because he knew he had an opportunity to help his team. And that's what I love the most. I mean, yes, I want to make the playoffs. Yeah, I want to win more games. But when I see my guys doing that on top of enduring everything in the school and having great, phenomenal grades, like Keyshawn is one of the top students in his class, class of 2025. Justin as well, Christian as well. All three of them already have academic scholarships to paying college. These guys are doing a lot on the baseball field and in the classroom. And that's what I love, and that's my joy as a coach, to see them, you know, reach those goals that they set out for themselves. And I'm proud of that. I'm so proud of that.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate everything that you have done supporting Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I love just going out there and live streaming high school baseball. I mean, no one's doing what we're doing in this area. And I wanted to make sure, it was my personal goal, that I covered every single school in Columbus, private and public. I'm so grateful that I got a chance to live stream Carver taking on Calvary. I'll tell you a story, though, Coach. Kendrick really appreciated me coming down there and live streaming their games. I mean, we're talking about schools that don't get a whole lot of coverage. Kendrick, Spencer, Jordan. I mean, we covered them all. And when you have a player like Tristan Holzendorf, who comes up to me after the game, he's got relatives that are watching his games. I mean, that's really what it's all about, is just giving exposure to these student athletes. And I love doing it.
Let me piggyback on that. I know Tristan. He had a phenomenal year.
Oh, didn't he bat like over 600?
He batted over 600, and I think that's overall. I'm not even talking about region. So I can't imagine what his region stats look like.
Yeah.
I know this is a kid at an opposing school. If that kid doesn't get player of the year, there needs to be some reevaluating. That kid had a phenomenal year. Some of the video I saw on social media was just phenomenal. Good swings on the baseball. And another thing I want to mention, what you guys are doing, like you said, you don't see it. You don't see it around this area, and it's needed. So I applaud you, Thrift, the whole crew. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. Continue to just do what y'all are doing, brother. Because when I tell you, you're shedding light on a lot of athletes that probably wouldn't get that light shedded on them, depending on the situations or whatever school they're at. But you guys are doing that. And I tip my cap. If I had a hat on, I'd tip my cap to you, man, because I mean, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. I know it's tiresome. I know you guys are just, bogged down with a lot of games, a lot of coverage, but you guys keep it going, and you're building it. It's gonna just get bigger and better as years and goes on, and you guys are just, you deserve your flowers. I'm just gonna be honest with you, all of y'all, because this is something our area needed. We needed this coverage because you gotta think about it. A kid like Tristan he probably wouldn't get the exposure that he got throughout the season due to the school he's at. But you guys made a way and made sure that your platform reached out to everybody in the city or in the surrounding areas. And that's what I hope everybody's trying to do that. All right. But the thing is, you guys started that. You guys are the catalyst for our area doing that. So man, I applaud y'all. And I'm just blessed to be a part of it as an interviewer and as a broadcaster during football season. I'm
Oh, absolutely.
part of it, man. I am.
And we really appreciate your kind words, Coach. And we are also blessed to have you as part of the Georgia Alabama Sports Live family. I can't wait to get up in the broadcast booth with you in the fall, calling football games. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you have a passion and a love for it, and you are a talented broadcaster. As long as a good head baseball coach and a talented broadcaster is too. I mean, you could pretty much do anything that you want, Coach. And I appreciate you just taking time out of your busy schedule and being on the sports beat once again.
Of course, man. I mean, anytime you want me, man, I'm here. Anytime. I'm always here to help, man.
Absolutely. That is the Carver head baseball coach, Michael Long Jr., as he gets ready for the offseason, preparing for next season for high school baseball. And we cannot wait to see what the Carver Tigers look like in 2025. Thanks again, Coach. Thank you, everybody, for watching here on Facebook Live and on YouTube. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast. I'm found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, any one of those podcast platforms. You can download an episode of the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.